What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Tonight I wanted to talk briefly about a game that Bally manufactured in 1937 called Line-Up. Line-Up was Bally's first attempt at a bingo. In 1937, this bingo had a 25 square card, so 5 by 5, just like the later bingos. It also had advancing odds, which is pretty advanced for 1937. What's really interesting about this, and looks really difficult, is the playfield. The playfield has 5 rows of 5 holes in exactly the same orientation all the way down. It looks like there are some roll-down games which have a similar type playfield, where you roll a rather large ball down a playfield and it has to land in particular pockets. This looks very similar and very difficult because the space between those pockets is very large. It's possible to lose an entire ball by rolling all the way down to the bottom or the out area in a typical pin from this era. So the trap holes are also designed in such a way that if you happen to get, let's say you rolled and you got number 13, which is the center number on this particular game since they go in order 1 through 5, 6 through 10, and so on. So let's say you get the number 13. Well, the next ball, you manage to nudge it in such a way that it smacks the ball that's in the 13 hole. Since there's no rubber on the playfield whatsoever, basically, that's just going to careen straight down into the out area. So you have to very carefully, it looks like, nudge the ball where you want it to go. It looks very challenging. Now, that said, I've never seen a real one. I'm only looking at the flyer. But what is interesting is they apparently sold this in novelty and payout form in 1937. I'm not sure what the novelty would do with the odds. Perhaps you could then turn that in for a payout. I'm also really curious as to how the odds worked because Don Hooker added guaranteed advancing odds to the one-ball horse race games when he came to Bally. And I'm not sure how these odds worked. I assume they're advancing looking at the picture on the flyer, but your guess is actually as good as mine. If anybody knows for sure, I'd love to hear that. One thing I do know from the flyer is that it cost $74.50 in 1937. That is pretty high. For comparison, my Genko Jr., which came out in the same year, cost $39.50. So, obviously what you can infer is that payout pinball cost more, but it probably earned a whole heck of a lot more than novelty or amusement only games. But it was all for amusement only, right? So, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for listening. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at nbaldridge, or you can reach us on our website, foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.